Bishop Innis, if you would simply take a moment and share with us how you survived the war, how the war has shaped your faith, and how it's shaped the faith of so many, particularly in the Liberian United Methodist Church.
To God be the glory, great thing He has done. To God be the glory for saving my life. As I told you earlier, I committed my life to education in rural Liberia camp formation. And in 1990, our area was captured by the rebels when I had over 350 kids up in there. And so when the area was captured by the rebel, we had no asset. We couldn't go to town, we couldn't come to Monrovia, so we just cut behind the rebel areas. But later on, when the city of Buchanan was captured by the rebel, many of the people left the city and came to camp formation to seek refuge. And so we accepted them, over 5,000 people. And so I became the spokesperson as a pastor, as an educator, and so forth. Many times the rebels would come and say, make remarks like, we will kill you people here. And especially these people from Buchanan, we will kill them. So one day, they gathered us on, in the front of the church and decided to make these, threatening remarks. So I got up, I said, if you say this revolution is in our interest, then may it be. But if the interest of the revolution is to destroy our lives, then I'm just sorry for you. But I want to tell you that this mission station is a holy ground. God has brought these people here. If for any reason you want to get rid of anyone's life, I gave my life for these people. But you're not going to do anything to them here. And that caught him. The general who made a remark, he stood still for like 15 minutes. And later on he said, Bishop, I wasn't even Bishop at the time. He said, Bishop, your statement is powerful and we will not trouble you here anymore. But then in 1993, they came back. And one of them made a remarks, we are not going to listen to any men of God. We're here to destroy you people and destroy the mission station. So one of them got into a physical fight. So they took their guns and they started shooting around me. And at one point I observed that the nozzle of the gun was being brought down gradually by an invisible hand. So they ended up shooting around me. But they overpowered me by putting me into the ground and gashed me with the nozzle of the gun on my forehead. And I had to take about 10 stitches. And a lot of the people fled into the bushes and so forth. But anyway, we had a nurse there, so they came, they took care of me, and but the next day we went to Buchanan and later on brought into the city. So how God began to take care of my life, the life of all. The only unfortunate situation was that one of our students got killed because we had earlier advised parents not to come around, that God was going to take care of us. But she was stubborn and she got a police escort card and came on the mission. So while leaving the mission station to get back to Buchanan, the police jeep was ambushed by the rebels. Unfortunately, the student died and one of the soldiers died. That was the only, but other than that, those number of days and months we spent on the mission station, nothing was done to us. And then we use our situation, our gardening, our vegetables to feed the refugees for a number of months, and that's how God took care of us. So when I became bishop, in 2003, there was another replay of the Civil War. And so the whole northern part of Liberia was cut off from the city of Monrovia. So nobody could go there. I was in the States. I went to attend a council meeting and I couldn't come back. Actually, I came to Ghana. But when I got to Ghana, some of my superintendents started calling me, don't go, don't come, don't. So I went back. I asked the council to go back to America to raise some support for the care of the people. So Dr. Ken Lujan and Reverend Innis Brown of the Kansas City district invited me to come to Kansas City. So they invited some of the leading churches to a meeting, and they raised $23,000, and they gave me that money. I can buy about food and so forth. But one day I decided to go to this place to the northern part where nobody had been, no church leader had been, no government official had been, because the people were completely cut off. So I told my superintendent who had oversight of the area, I said, he was already here in Monrovia, I said, we're going to go to Vonjima today. He couldn't believe it. I said, George, I'm coming, we got to go. He said, okay, Bishop, you will meet me at red light. So he asked my aide, is the bishop really serious that we're going to go up in there? The guy said, look, the bishop is on the way. And so we went. But we got to the first checkpoint. There were almost like 23 checkpoints with these young children with their guns and all of that. So we got to the first checkpoint. It was dark, extremely dark. He said, stop, we stop, get down. Telling everybody to get down. I said, not by sight. No one is going to get down. The point is that we are here in your interest. What we have done to our country is just bad. These guns you have will never liberate you, but what can liberate you is education. Education through Jesus Christ. So we have come to appeal to you to drop these guns, because the peacekeepers through the United Nations will soon be here. So when they ask you for your guns, you give it. And we will work with the United Nations to provide education for you. But to ask my people to get down from the car, no way. So he went to one of his generals. He explained how stubborn I was and all of that. The general came and I told him the same thing. I'm the Bishop of the United Methodist Church. We're here to give you hope, to ask you to drop your guns, to free our country of violence and all of the evil stuff. So we drove through. We drove through these several checkpoints. As we went, they kept asking us questions. Then we got in the big city that night around like 12 midnight, in the midst of rebels, but there were a lot of civilians. So we said, well, we're from Monrovia, we heard about you, and we just came first to pray with you and for you and to ask you to drop your guns. But we need somewhere to sleep tonight. So they gave us a place and no bed, nothing. The council we slept on the floor. The next morning we sent message around, and the soldiers, they were almost like 500 to 600. The rebel soldiers, they gathered in a certain place with their guns around their general and so forth. So I stood in the midst and greeted them and said, we are here to appeal to you to drop your guns. That if you kept doing what you're doing, you would continue to, get our country in a mess. And the peacekeepers are coming. You please drop your gun. We love you. You're wonderful children. Education is the only gift to Christ. So will you accept to put your guns down and give it over to the peacekeeper? They say, yes, Bishop will do it. We first want to thank you because you're the first bishop, you're the first church leader to come and see us. Then we went to the civilian population. We addressed them. They were extremely happy too. Then I said, well, civil goal have we none, but we just simply came to see you. So let us pray. We have brought you nothing but to hand you over to God so that God will protect you. And at the end of the trip, we came back to Monrovia. The next morning, I just picked up my phone and called UMCOR office. I said, look, we just left from this place and the people are starving. Children are starving. So they sent us an emergency grant of $10,000. So George and other people bought, several truckloads of food, rice, and every good thing. And they took it back there. Great jubilation. They said, wow, the United Methodist Church is a great church and so forth. But at risk. The following week, it was in December 2002, we had our annual conference in Buchanan, which is in the southern part of this country. It's about 88 or 89 miles from Monrovia, south of Monrovia here.